Being the eldest son means you get everything, right? Everyone's stunned by my brother-in-law's wife's comment. She had always insisted that being the eldest son was important, but this was too much. Just as I was about to reply, my brother-in-law spoke up. My name is Sophia. I'm a 32-year-old working housewife. I got married to my husband Owen just last year. We've known each other since elementary school, but our relationship was far from expected. We'd usually argue whenever we met, but during our college years, he confessed his feelings to me. Embarrassed, he scratched his cheek as I looked at him in surprise. I initially turned him down, but from that point on, I started thinking about him more. Half a year later, I was the one confessing to him. We dated for about 5 years after that. We went to tell his parents about our marriage. I was warmly welcomed. My, you must be Sophia. Owen has told me so much about you. It's such a pleasure to finally meet you today. Owen told me you're his first love. We're so happy to have someone like you as a part of our family. Well, I was pleased to hear this from my parents-in-law. Owen looked flustered next to me, his secret laid bare. The fact that I was his first love was news to me. The thought made me feel ticklish and happy. I whispered this to Owen and he turned bright red with embarrassment. The meeting ended on a positive note. Owen has a brother who is already married. We planned to meet them around the end of the year, so we headed home. A few days later, while we were looking for our new home after the wedding, Owen's phone rang. It was from my mother-in-law.
Your dad's been in a car accident. He's in the hospital with a leg injury. The doctor says there might be lasting effects. Can you come?
Hearing this, Owen and I rushed to the hospital. Mother-in-law was sitting alone on a chair in the hallway. Mom, how's Dad? What's this about lasting effects? Owen, and you too, Sophia. Thank you for coming. Your father apparently shielded a child who ran into the street and was hit by a motorcycle. I hugged my trembling mother-in-law, not knowing what else to do. Shortly after, the doctor emerged from the treatment room. His life isn't in danger, but he broke his femur. Given his age, even with rehab, we can't guarantee he'll be able to walk again. You should prepare yourselves for that possibility. We were all at a loss for words. My father-in-law is an active man. Even in his 60s, he's passionate about his hobbies, playing basketball, volleyball, and skiing. The thought of him unable to do any of this was devastating. My mother-in-law looked completely disheartened. However, when my father-in-law woke up, he was different. When we told him about his leg, he just laughed it off. If my legs help save a child, then it's all worth it. I might not lose the ability to walk completely. Even if I do, I'll face it then. I can still compete in a wheelchair, you know. I'm just glad to be alive. I swear, you're one of a kind, but you're right, it's a blessing you're alive. My mother-in-law's face softened, filling the hospital room with laughter. Just then, the door swung open and a flamboyantly dressed woman walked in. Behind her, a man with 3 children in tow also entered the room. Seeing my father-in-law, the man sighed in relief. Dad, I'm glad you're okay, but at your age, you should be more careful. Oh, Benjamin, you came, and you brought Emily too, thank you. The man called Benjamin was my brother-in-law. My husband resembles my mother-in-law, but my brother-in-law looks more like his father. When he noticed us, he nodded and introduced his children. You must be Sophia, right? Thanks for marrying my little brother. I'm his older brother, Benjamin. This is my wife, Emily, and these are our kids. Say hi, everyone. The children greeted us one by one. I returned their greeting, and the atmosphere in the room turned pleasant, except for one person, who looked unhappy. Emily, my sister-in-law. I'm glad you're safe, father-in-law, but you can't use your leg anymore, right? We can't take care of you. We have kids, so living together is out of question. You're not going to impose on us just because he's your eldest son, are you? Nervously fidgeting with her freshly painted bright red nails, my sister-in-law, Emily, casually dropped her bombshell. The room's relaxed atmosphere instantly charged with tension. Look, Emily, don't worry about it. I have no plans to live with you guys. I'm doing fine, and we will go to a facility when the time comes. But wait, won't they charge us for that? Because, we're the oldest son's family. We also have the kids' education to think about, right, Benjamin? At Emily's rude comment, even my brother-in-law Benjamin seemed at a loss, nodding uncomfortably. My mother-in-law was visibly shaking with anger. I glanced at my husband and then spoke up. Hi, Emily. Nice to meet you. I'm Sophia, Owen's wife. Let me handle the situation with my mother-in-law. I mostly work from home, so if she stays with us, caregiving won't be an issue. We won't charge you just because you're the oldest son's family. Oh, really? That is such a relief. Nice to meet you. Seeming satisfied, Emily announced it was time for her salon appointment and left. All right, we should get going too. Sophia, please take care of Dad for us. Benjamin left the hospital room, taking the kids with him to follow Emily. What's the deal with Emily? She's unbelievably rude. Yeah, she just showed up about 10 years ago, already pregnant, and my brother married her shortly after. Even my in-laws didn't seem to know how Benjamin and Emily met or started dating. After they got married, they lived close to the family home. They'd drop their kids off and go out. But whenever they were asked for a favor, Emily always refused, complaining about them being the oldest son's family. But when it suited her, she emphasized that point. Mother-in-law, father-in-law, I wasn't speaking on impulse earlier. Owen and I discussed this on the way to the hospital. Right, Owen? Exactly. Sophia suggested it. We haven't settled on a place yet, and a house next door just went on the market. We're thinking of buying it and building a home that accommodates both families. It'll be accessible for you, and we'll cover the costs. Both my mother-in-law and father-in-law were delighted with our proposal. We quickly moved to secure the land. Luckily, both of us have stable income, so we passed the financial check easily. Soon after, we began plans to demolish the existing home and build a new two-family house. I suggested a design where we share the kitchen and water facilities. However, mother-in-law had some reservations. If we do that, selling the house later could be a hassle, or so I've heard. When we're gone, you won't need both parts of the house, right? It's better to have the option to rent it out. Also, we'll contribute financially, half of the down payment and half of the remaining mortgage. Put it under both Owen and Sophia's names. Owen will inherit it after us anyway, so it makes sense to keep it in both names. That way it won't be a part of any inheritance issues. Grateful for mother-in-law's thoughtfulness, we decided to build a fully separate duplex. While it was under construction, we stayed in an accessible condo. Living with parents-in-law was surprisingly stress-free, and every day was enjoyable. Just a few days before moving into the new house, brother-in-law's family showed up unannounced at the condo to visit father-in-law. Brother-in-law's wife, making herself comfortable, commented while sipping the tea I made. Hey, mother-in-law, isn't this a bit much? The house is a fully separate duplex, right? I've considered the same thing. What are you talking about? Sophia and Owen are building this for us. We have no plans to live with you now or in the future. You can't handle caregiving tasks anyway, so don't worry about it. Mother-in-law's explanation didn't seem to satisfy brother-in-law's wife. Not hiding her dissatisfaction, brother-in-law's wife started voicing her thoughts. Look, in the end, Benjamin will inherit the family home, right? Then it's obviously better if we live there from the start, and 5 bedrooms for just Owen and Sophia is excessive. We have 3 kids, and it would be just right for us. Our current place is too cramped, so it'd be a big help, right? So we'll take the left side, and mother-in-law can have the right side. By the left side, brother-in-law's wife meant the part we were supposed to live in. We had planned for the possibility of needing full-time care in the future, so the ground floor had 3 bedrooms, with 2 additional rooms on the upper floor. The ground floor was for guests and father-in-law, and we had all agreed on this layout. Yet brother-in-law's wife assumed that they would use it. So if you're going to live there, you'll cover all the construction costs, right? And you'll also handle the caregiving? That was our plan when we built the place. What are you saying? All of you are supposed to be on the right side, right? If caregiving is involved, cohabitation is essential. We're already living harmoniously, right? Then just keep it that way. We won't have to pay anything. Emily just continued dreaming aloud. In her dream world, her family saves on rent and lives in a spacious home, happy as can be. For the in-laws and us, caregiving becomes easier and we get to see brother-in-law's wife's children regularly, making everyone happy. In her head, we owe it to my sister-in-law, who made the win-win proposal. My father-in-law had been silently listening the whole time, but he now instructed my mother-in-law to retrieve something from a drawer. Following his instructions, my mother-in-law pulled out a thick envelope in a single sheet of paper. In this envelope is $500,000. This is for you both. In return, never contact us again. And Benjamin, sign this document. Our entire inheritance will go to Owen. Everyone absorbing my father-in-law's words, my brother-in-law looked shocked. My mother-in-law seemed to have been aware of this plan all along. The room fell silent for a moment. My sister-in-law wasn't one to back down easily. But he's the eldest son. Doesn't the eldest son get everything? Everyone was stunned at her audacity. She always insisted that the eldest son was the most important, but this was too much. Just as I was about to retort, my brother-in-law cut in. Enough is enough. Not just with my parents, but also with my brother and his wife. I can't go on with you anymore. Let's divorce. Dad, will this signature do for announcing the inheritance? And I don't need the $500,000, but please don't cut us off. The kids love you guys. At brother-in-law's words, father-in-law nodded in agreement. Mother-in-law, with tears in her eyes, seemed to be okay with it too. For a moment, my sister-in-law looked dumbfounded, but she soon regained her composure and started shouting. Who do you think you are? Fine, let's get a divorce, but you'll pay me alimony in court. What are you talking about? You're the one who will have to pay alimony, my brother-in-law said, pulling out an envelope from a large bag. It contained a photo showing my sister-in-law arm in arm with another man entering a hotel. Her face turned pale at the sight of it. He continued, unfazed. I knew you were treating for a while now. When I looked into it for the divorce settlement, I was shocked. Your affair partner didn't even know you were married. Even had an engagement going. He's really angry, planning to claim compensation in the divorce trial. What, you told him? You're ruining my new start. What? Everyone just enjoys bullying me? I won't forgive ruining my engagement. Facing his wife's sudden anger, brother-in-law handed her the divorce papers. If you give me custody and our savings, I don't need alimony or child support. I'm sick of your cheating and your spending. Please just divorce me. If you're that desperate for a divorce, fine, but don't come crawling back to apologize later. Live with your regret. With that, my brother-in-law's wife signed the divorce papers and left the house. Dad, Mom, and Sophia, and Owen too. I'm truly sorry for all the trouble caused by not stopping Emily. My husband comforted his apologetic brother and looked at father-in-law. We love our grandchildren too. We plan to help out with the kids. Exactly. To be honest, we made our decision thinking you and Emily were on the same page, but we see now that you're not. Yeah, I've been thinking. Maybe we don't have to go as far as disinheriting. At this, brother-in-law shook his head. He mentioned they'd already rented a nearby house and planned to get by mainly with the kids, relying on the family only when absolutely necessary, before leaving with the kids for an appointment with the lawyer. Afterward, brother-in-law and his wife divorced. The wife apparently sought support from her affair partner. However, the irate affair partner claimed engagement-breaking compensation. And what's more, they met at a singles event. She's now banned from that group after they found out she was married. Her strict family has disowned her for what she did. She came to plead with brother-in-law one more time, but the parents-in-law refused to tell her where he moved. Deflated, she trudged back home alone. My brother-in-law is doing well, starting anew with his kids. It turns out his wife wasn't much of a homemaker, but he and the kids have been managing the household just fine on their own. His kids are extremely well-mannered and responsible, and they're doing their best to support their busy dad. When they visit my husband's parents, they make it a point to stop by our place, and we've started cooking together. Lately, they even started calling me sister. As for my father-in-law, his post-surgery recovery is going remarkably well, and his rehab is right on track. He's regaining his ability to walk, and the doctors are surprised at his rapid recovery. My mother-in-law mentioned they're not planning on living with us for now, to which I replied, that's too bad. On my end, a year after we moved, I found out I'm pregnant. It's still early days, but when we told my husband and in-laws, they shed tears of joy. Since we had to postpone my father-in-law's get-well-soon party due to the move, we decided to combine it with a baby celebration. It might be a bit early, but their happiness makes me happy, so why not? My husband recently got promoted and received a pay raise. I'm mostly working from home and plan to work as much as possible before the baby comes. Because of this, we've made good progress on our mortgage payments. Truth be told, I'm actually looking forward to living with my in-laws in the future. When I shared this with my mother-in-law, she got teary-eyed and thanked me, which made me a bit bashful. We're all looking forward to welcoming this new life into our family, and I can't wait for all the joy and liveliness the future holds for us.